Rejected for her size, this 23-year-old girl discovers unexpected support from a CEO. Incredible. Lily Thompson swallowed hard, her hand trembling as she clicked send on another job application. Feed after feed in her marketing group praised polished resumes and perfect appearances, while her own efforts felt like whispers in a roaring arena. The fraying edges of her self-worth tugged at her like unwelcome memories. Each rejection became a stone dropped in her chest, a growing weight she couldn't shake. The small-town values prized in Midwestern America, the very fabric woven into her life, felt like chains. Hard work was a virtue, yet she felt trapped, buried beneath a stack of no letters. What did the world want from her? During her Saturday sojourn at the local library, she unearthed small joys among the stacks of dusty books. There, she volunteered, embracing the sounds of giggles as children stumbled through their first words. Jacob, a little boy with shy brown eyes, captivated her heart. With every whispered encouragement she offered while he struggled to read, a flicker of brilliance ignited within him. The way he beamed with pride, even in his faltering moments, tugged at Lily. Perhaps, just perhaps, she wasn't entirely lost. Yet, her own insecurities loomed large. Was she enough? Was there something inherently wrong with her that kept her from being chosen? After weeks of meticulous planning, Lily mustered the courage to attend the community networking event. It felt like stepping into a circus world filled with colorful personalities and polished smiles, but inside, she felt invisible. Then she saw Sarah Mitchell, the ambitious CEO with a mantle of prestige cloaking her like royalty in a room of commoners. Conversations twisted and perked up around Sarah as she moved through the crowd, her very presence commanding attention. But as Lily approached, she felt the strangest kinship ignite when Sarah made eye contact. "I see you," Sarah seemed to say. When their paths converged, the CEO recognized that fire lurking within Lily's eyes, a flame survivors often carried after enduring judgment. It was as if Sarah could read her like a book. With a warmth that disarmed Lily's apprehensions, their friendship blossomed. "Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue, but soon the cracks in Lily's newfound paradise began to show. With every penetrating conversation, the tension slid like ice under her feet. Should she let Sarah in on her struggle? The nagging fear of vulnerability weighed heavy. What if Sarah turned away? The confident woman would never understand the drowning feeling that accompanied each rejection. Moments of shared laughter laid bare the fragility of their bond, contrasting sharply with the demons that whispered self-doubt. She saw in Sarah a reservoir of confidence exuding from perfect contours and accolades, but Sarah's glossy surface shattered, revealing profound struggles beneath. Just as Lily found solace in their connection, doubt still flared among her heart, a gnawing fear that exposure would lead to more rejection. As she balanced precariously on the threshold of empowerment and silence, a turning point loomed. In that pregnant pause, she could feel the world waiting, suspended on the tides of uncertainty. As she contemplated sharing her vulnerabilities, it felt as if she stood at the edge of a cliff. Would stepping forward lead to the freedom she yearned for, or plunge her deeper into rejection's abyss? Lily stared at Sarah across the bustling cafe, her heart racing as a torrent of doubts swirled in her mind. The small table that separated them felt emblematic of the chasm between their experiences. Here was Sarah, an accomplished CEO, radiating confidence, while Lily grappled with her sense of inadequacy. Every laugh and flippant remark, once a source of joy, now echoed with the haunting question, would she ever be seen as more than her size? "Lily, what's on your mind?" Sarah's voice broke the spell, grounding her in the moment. The sincerity in her eyes beckoned Lily to lower her guard. Could this be the moment she shed her layers of fear, exposing the fragile core beneath? She faltered, words caught in her throat, the weight of vulnerability pressing down. It felt unbearable to voice the insecurities that haunted her. But Sarah's willingness to listen felt like an invitation to step away from darkness. Perhaps, with each word she spoke, she could carve her own path to liberation. "I just feel like I'm in an endless loop of rejection," she finally said, the confession spiraling out of her mouth before she could second-guess it. "And I don't know how to break free." Sarah nodded, her expression unfurling into something softer, more relatable. "You're not alone, you know. I faced a series of rejections too, especially early in my career. It was painful, but I learned to turn that pain into fuel." Fuel? Yes. It was a catalyst for diving deep into my passion. I started writing, figuring out how to market myself in ways that felt authentic. Lily leaned in, intrigued, as Sarah continued to share her experience. "The rejection makes you question everything. It can be paralyzing, but it can also empower you to discover talents you didn't know you had." "What are you passionate about?" "Marketing. I love creating engaging content," Lily confessed, the fire awakening in her belly as she spoke. "Then why not embrace that? Use your experiences. Tailor your personal brand around the uniqueness you bring to the table. Every mark of rejection can be a stepping stone instead of a shackle." She took a long sip of her coffee, allowing Sarah's words to sink in. Could it be that simple? To transform rejection into an assertion of her identity? She had spent so long feeling cumbersome, viewing her size as a liability, rather than a part of her narrative. What if she flipped the script? As they chatted, Lily felt a shift occurring within her, small but significant. Sarah's story ignited a resolve she hadn't known she possessed. By the time they parted ways, Lily was buzzed with thoughts of strategies and possibilities. She would start a blog. Share her experiences, her heartbreaks. This could be the beginning of something new. The next morning, with her laptop warming beneath her fingers, she began outlining her first post. Each poignant word emerged, a wave of catharsis pushing the past aside. "Rejection doesn't define me," she typed, her heart racing. She would pioneer her narrative, refuse to be a quiet whisper amid a choir of perfection. Yet, as she crafted her message, a fissure of doubt crept in. What if the world rejected her again? The shadows of earlier wounds loomed, challenging her resolve. It felt as if she stood at the edge, ready to leap but tethered by fear. She needed to confront these feelings head-on. With clenched fists and bated breath, she decided to take an even bolder step. She needed feedback, raw and unfiltered, to truly grow. What if she reached out to Sarah, told her about her plans, asked for advice, and as she hovered over her keyboard, fingers poised to type, her heart thudded with urgency. Would she muster the courage to share her vulnerability with Sarah once again? Would she risk it all to see her dreams materialize, or would fear pull her back into complacency? Lily's fingers hesitated above the keyboard, a whirlpool of anticipation and dread swirling inside her. The courage she had summoned to draft her first blog post began to wane, replaced by the familiar grip of self-doubt. What did she really know about launching a blog? Who would care about her journey? The white screen blinked back at her, a stark reminder of what was at stake. She needed this feedback, not just to validate her voice but to lay the groundwork for her personal brand, one that she hoped could transcend her insecurities. Taking a deep breath, she forced herself to push through. With a quick swipe, she pulled up Sarah's contact information. Each second felt like an eternity. Lily's fingers trembled as she typed a message, an invitation both to share her plans and to bear her unease. "Hi Sarah," she wrote, the brightness of the words casting shadows over her uncertainty. "I've started a blog about my experiences with rejection, and I'd love your advice." Before she could rethink it, she hit send. The act electrified her. She had taken a step she once thought impossible. But anxiety clawed at her as she closed her laptop, leaving her with nothing but time. What if Sarah didn't reply? What if her advice was harsh and triggered old wounds? Hours trickled by until her phone buzzed, a response from Sarah. "I'd love to help, Lily. Let us meet at the same cafe tomorrow. I'm excited to hear your thoughts. A rush of relief washed over her, mixed with the storm of anticipation. Tomorrow. The meeting felt like another step into uncharted territory. That evening, she paced her small apartment, mentally preparing for their conversation. Would Sarah see through her bravado? Would she sense the cracks in Lily's confidence? The following day, she entered the cafe, a bit earlier to gather her thoughts. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee surrounded her, but it only masked the tautness coiling in her gut. What insights could Sarah possibly offer to someone as lost as her? When Sarah arrived, a bright smile breaking across her face, it felt like she breathed life into the space. As they settled into their seats, Lily felt an unexpected calm wash over her. I'm eager to hear about your blog, Sarah said, leaning forward. What is your vision? Lily felt the weight of her fear, the anticipation of judgment, and she slowly unveiled her vision, sharing her story piece by piece. As she spoke, each narrative element, the pain of rejection, the perseverance she was starting to feel, seemed to weave itself into a tapestry of potential. I want to create a safe space for people like me, she explained, a tinge of fervor entering her voice. Where we can talk about rejection honestly, and maybe even inspire others. That's powerful, Sarah replied, her eyes sparkling with encouragement. But what I see is not just a blog, but an authentic expression of you. It's essential that it feels true to who you are. Lily nodded, absorbing every word. The validation was exhilarating. She felt as if each affirmation chipped away at the fortress of doubt enclosing her. But what if I fail again? She questioned, vulnerability slipping into her tone despite her earlier resolve. What if no one reads it? The fear of failure is valid, Sarah said, her demeanor calming. However, it can also be a powerful teacher. Embrace your stories. Each post you create is reclaiming your narrative. She breathed in the weight of those words while recognizing a shift in her perspective. Failure was no longer a shadow lurking at the corner of her journey, it was a part of the process, a mentor guiding her journey. As they spoke, ideas bloomed in her mind, potential topics, strategies for engagement, ways to connect authentically with her audience. Yet, amid the blossoming excitement, an unsettling thought nagged at her. Was she truly ready to share such personal experiences with the world? Vulnerability had been a well-guarded sanctuary. Lily realized the meeting was not just about her blog, it was about confronting herself, her fears, and the steps she needed to take. I want to own my story, she half whispered, the statement emerging as a burgeoning truth. So start today, Sarah encouraged. The world is waiting to hear what you have to say. As they wrapped up, Lily was left with a sense of evolution. She had sought advice and found guidance, a roadmap unfolding before her, yet she felt the pulse of trepidation simmering beneath the surface. What if she lost herself while trying to find her voice? With newfound urgency, she made a decision. She would write from the depths of her soul, sharing not just victories but the rawness of her journey. She would lay bare the parts that terrified her, another step toward defining who she was meant to be. As Sarah stood to leave, the words rang in her mind, each failure a mark of her perseverance. But the questions hummed louder now. Would authenticity be met with acceptance, or would fear find a way to silence her? This was not just about blogging, it was about identity and courage. The next chapter awaited, and she felt an undeniable pull toward whatever came next. Lily stared at her laptop, the cursor blinking insistently as if it were demanding that she finally make her mark. The haze of uncertainty still lingered, but now it felt strangely invigorating. Fueled by the conversation with Sarah, she set her fingers down and began to type, no longer shackled by fear but ignited by purpose. Each word that filled the blank canvas of her screen seemed to echo with both her vulnerability and her strength. She began drafting her first post, cautiously yet fervently. I have always felt the sting of rejection, she wrote, like a ghost that haunts you even in the brightest moments. But there's more to discover through this pain. With that, the floodgates opened. Ideas poured out of her notes on the moments that left her feeling excluded, choices that shaped her self-image, and the gradual realization that vulnerability could become a source of power. What surprised her most was how those painful experiences drew others in. They echoed within her own heart and mind, resonating, pulling her deeper into the authenticity she so desperately sought. Her joy was palpable. Each paragraph she penned fortified her belief in her voice, transforming bricks of doubt into stepping stones. But with exhilaration came restlessness. The broader implications of sharing vulnerable truths began to weigh on her. Would she be able to handle the reactions? The idea of being scrutinized by strangers filled her with trepidation. Nevertheless, she reminded herself of Sarah's words, each post was an act of reclamation. That night, she lay in bed, the glow from her laptop casting a soft light on her determined face. She scrolled through blogs of women who had navigated similar paths, paving the way with stories of resilience and triumph. Inspired, she made a list of potential topics, a series dedicated to exploring body positivity, personal anecdotes linked to rejection, and strategies for embracing one's true self. Yet, within that excitement lurked a persistent anxiety. She wondered how to balance honesty with vulnerability, how much to share without feeling exposed. This was her chance to redefine herself, yet she knew all too well how easily the world could misjudge her. Not long later, she felt a familiar sensation curling in her stomach as she replayed her words in her mind. What if she wrote something that resonated too deeply, pushing away adoration and inviting scorn? Her fears whispered loudly, tension tightening around her chest. It was easy to imagine tides of misunderstanding sweeping across comment sections, drowning her words in negativity. She had to confront these fears head-on. She recalled Sarah's encouragement: there was power in authenticity, but to truly own her story, she'd need to embrace the risks. That realization came wrapped in a profound complexity: her growth hinged on something risky, entirely uncertain. Empowered by her resolve to write authentically, Lily set herself a challenge. She would post her first draft publicly without editing it to perfection, allowing readers to connect with her unvarnished truth. It was time to take the leap, to trust not just in her writing but in the community of those who had felt like outsiders themselves. With a deep breath, she hit the publish button, her heart racing as she did so. The instant feedback from her blog would offer her valuable insights, a rare opportunity to gauge her voice against the world's perceptions, but as the minutes passed without a single notification, doubt trickled in like a cold breeze, creeping back into the warmth of her newfound courage. Why was she already second-guessing? Had she overstepped by pushing her boundaries? Before she could spiral into that familiar pit, her phone buzzed, a message from Sarah lighting up her screen. "I just saw your blog. It's beautiful, and I'm so proud of you." Elated yet overwhelmed, Lily realized this was just the beginning. The likes and comments could come, or they might not, but here she stood, ready to face whatever responses awaited. Her journey was merely starting, and the need for validation no longer governed her actions. Yet lurking behind her patience was a new shadow: the anxiety of exposure still hung like a fog, and she knew somewhere in her heart this act of courage might attract not only support but also critics. Would they see the intention behind her words or simply the flaws? Determined to keep moving forward, she went back to her laptop, ready to document this evolving process as her own journey unfolded. What she didn't yet understand was that with every story she shared, she was inviting her true self into the light. But the shadows of doubt were only just beginning to gather. The world outside waited avidly for her voice, but deep inside, Lily felt the call of an impending confrontation. Would her pursuit of authenticity withstand the scrutiny of many eyes, or would it send her spiraling into doubt yet again? As the sun rose the next morning, Lily awoke with a jolt, the weight of her decision from the previous night pressing against her chest like a boulder. She recalled her blog post, its raw honesty suspended in the ether, and felt a tremor of apprehension ripple through her. Had she been naive in believing that her vulnerability would resonate with others? Doubt wormed its way back into her thoughts, a cold reminder of past rejections lurking in the shadows. Determined to face the discomfort, she flicked through the notifications on her phone. Sarah's message still glowed with warmth, but it was the silence that followed that filled her with dread. Was her story really meaningful, or just another confession that would be lost in a sea of digital noise? With a deep breath, she decided that rather than dwell on anxieties, she would focus on what she could control, her response to the world. She crafted a list on her notepad titled Next Steps. First on the list was to engage with her readers. Rather than hiding behind her screen, she would invite conversation. Every comment would be a voice in a dialogue she had initiated, and each response could provide valuable insights not only into her work but into her own growth. With every tick off the list, her resolve strengthened. The morning unfolded lazily as she sipped coffee, allowing her thoughts to simmer. Inspiration struck, unfurling like a flower in bloom. She could put herself in the shoes of those who might read her post. What would she want to see? If she could rewrite her past and steer this moment into something powerful, she would explore not just her fears but the heart of her vulnerability. Out of this, she could draft a follow-up piece focusing on acceptance, how to find worth beyond societal standards. Fueled by a newfound sense of purpose, she sat down once more and began to type, her fingers dancing over the keys. The words flowed, detailing the complexities of living in a world that constantly scrutinizes bodies, the societal pressures that warp self-worth. She offered practical tips for embracing imperfections, emphasizing the importance of community and support. The potential difficulties of this subject felt even more exhilarating than overwhelming as she caught herself composing sentences passionately, her voice rising like a tide. Yet as she penned her thoughts, she became acutely aware of her own internal struggle. A wave of vulnerability threatened to drown her resolve. How many people would understand? Would they embrace her messages or tear them apart? This inner conflict pressed hard, a potent cocktail of trepidation and determination coursing through her veins. After hours of writing and rewriting, she crafted her next post into a manifesto of sorts, a declaration of worthiness dressed in honesty. As she prepared to publish it, a voice interrupted her focus. It was Sarah again, sending a quick video greeting. Just got back from a meeting, but I wanted to say I'm inspired. You are making waves, and I can't wait to see how far this journey takes you. For the first time since hitting publish on her initial post, exhilaration pulsed through Lily. Sarah's belief in her felt like a protective cloak, wrapping her in warmth against the chill of doubt. Could she do it? Could she share her self-accepted journey and invite others to find solace in vulnerability? With a fierce breath, she clicked publish, her heart drumming loudly in her chest. She counted the moments as they passed, waiting for a reaction. As notifications began to spike, her pulse quickened. The anxieties that once seemed so consuming now punctuated her anticipation with light. In that moment, however, another realization tugged at her consciousness. Each notification represented an opportunity, but it also began to unveil a looming tension. Critics would inevitably weigh in, and those voices could be louder than support. With every view came the risk of harsh judgment, and she knew she couldn't anticipate how others would perceive her. Bearing this in mind, she turned her thoughts inward. Rather than merely hoping for praise, maybe she could focus instead on forging connections, welcoming feedback even if it meant confrontation. Lily's journey towards self-acceptance was just beginning, and while hope mingled with fear, she was prepared to brave a world full of bias to reclaim her narrative. She felt fueled by the fire of discovery, yet uncertainty loomed overhead like storm clouds. Would this new act of courage allow her to forge meaningful connections, or would it unveil harsh realities she wasn't ready to face? The answer awaited her as she opened her heart to potential and danger unseen. Lily stared at the screen, her heart pounding in sync with the relentless stream of notifications. It was exhilarating to see the attention her post had garnered, yet each ping felt like a double-edged sword. She hovered over the first comment, a sinking feeling creeping in as her mind scrambled to anticipate responses. Brave post, read one comment, immediately followed by, but you really shouldn't be so negative about your body. Just eat better. Panic surged. How could she cut through the noise of judgment? She took a moment to analyze the comment. This wasn't just criticism, it was a glimpse into someone else's struggle, twisted through the lens of societal expectations. With a deep breath, she decided to respond. Thanks for your perspective. Can you share how you define being healthy? That question was a catalyst. Replies followed, opening a dialogue she had longed for. People began to share their experiences, their own battles with self-image and societal pressures. With each conversation, she felt her confidence grow, like a seedling breaking through a crack in the concrete, reaching for the sun. It was a slow growth, but it was happening. Thrilled, she dove deeper into the comments, eager to build a community around shared vulnerability. Each shared story ignited a spark of connection within her. She realized this wasn't just about her blog, it morphed into witnessing a collective human experience. She found herself replying not just from a place of vulnerability, but from newfound conviction. Yet, amidst the supportive tide, the detractors surfaced as well. Maybe you should just lose some weight, then you'd feel better, one anonymous user typed, a phrase that resonated like a bitter echo, fueling the doubts she thought she delayed to rest. This was her testing ground. She could choose to ignore the negativity, to let it wash over her without leaving a mark. Or she could confront it, tackle the narrative head-on. Engaging deeply with reluctance, she typed a response that surprised even her: I respect your opinion, but every body is different, and what works for one person won't for another. It's about embracing who we are, not fitting into a mold. With that single line, a doorway swung wide open. She felt a shift in her energy, an unexpected weight lifted. To engage and clarify, rather than evade and conceal, was a powerful step. It didn't mean she was immune to the sting of strange feedback, but it did embolden her voice. As the sun dipped low in the sky, painting her tiny apartment in shades of orange and lavender, a notification caught her eye. It was a direct message from the CEO of a prominent wellness company, a surprising twist no one, least of all her, could have predicted. Lily, it read, I read your post. I appreciate your honesty about the struggles with body image and societal standards. Let's discuss how we can help spread your message further. Excitement surged within her chest, mingling with apprehension. Did the esteemed CEO see something in her that she hadn't yet realized? The offer of collaboration could catapult her journey beyond the confines of her small, digital corner. Or it could lead to the kind of exposure that kept her awake at night, grappling with the fear of failure. What did it mean to partner with someone so high-profile? Would she maintain her authenticity, or would the business aspect of it strip her narrative away? It was a crossroads, a defining moment waiting to unfold. Lily clutched her notebook tightly, feeling the weight of expectation pushing down on her shoulders. To frame her response carefully would require genuine introspection. Was she prepared to balance her messages of vulnerability with the polished demands of corporate interests? What if this partnership compromised the very principles she had fought to uphold? The evening emerged with opportunities colliding against uncertainty, presenting her with a choice that could reshape not just her career, but the essence of her shared journey. Would she seize the moment, risking the comfort she had painstakingly built? Or retreat into the shadows? As she considered, another layer of doubt wrapped around her heart. The time had come to decide how far she would go and at what cost. Would this choice solidify her growth, or spiral her into a world of expectations beyond her control? The answer lurked just ahead, shrouded in a fog of potential. The morning light streamed through her window, illuminating the tangled thoughts swirling in Lily's mind. The offer from the CEO replayed in her head like a constant refrain, demanding her attention. She had woken up with a gnawing feeling in her stomach, a mix of anticipation and dread. It was time to respond, but the weight of the moment felt almost overwhelming. Lily breathed deeply, allowing the warm sunlight to fill the room. She picked up her notepad, her fingers trembling as she struggled to find the right words. The stakes felt impossibly high. Would this connection validate her message, or overshadow her voice? Each time she contemplated accepting the offer, memories of negativity bubbled up, threatening to drown out her burgeoning confidence. She closed her eyes and focused on the dialogue she had initiated on social media. The flood of shared stories, the connections she had forged, they had given her a sense of purpose. But standing here now, thoughts of the corporate world loomed like a storm cloud. Could I still be me? She whispered to herself, a question that demanded introspection. Lily opened her eyes and skimmed through the notes in her journal, a collection of reflections, emotions, and ideas she had meticulously crafted during sleepless nights. What had started as frustration had morphed into clarity. She recalled her mission of authenticity, the need to challenge society's perception of health and beauty. That was the foundation she had built, and she wouldn't let corporate interests shake it. With renewed determination, she began typing her response. Thank you for your message. I'm open to discussing potential collaboration, but I must be honest in saying my primary goal is to promote body positivity and self-acceptance. I'd like to ensure that any partnership or project we work on stays true to that vision. As she hit send, a wave of relief washed over her. She had spoken her truth, clearly defining her boundaries. It was a small victory, but it ignited a fire within her. She felt empowered, ready to confront whatever challenges lay ahead. The day's events unfolded with unforeseen energy. As she navigated through her regular routine, she noticed how her sense of purpose influenced her actions. During her morning run, the rhythm of her footsteps felt lighter, each breath infused with newfound resolve. Engaging with her followers became a daily ritual, a practice where vulnerability transformed into strength. Each comment and story shared were reminders that she was not alone. Her mission resonated with countless others, yet, lingering in the back of her mind was the specter of doubt. What if the CEO replied unfavorably? What if her honesty was perceived as a lack of ambition? Just then, a notification chimed, a reply from the CEO. Her heart raced as she clicked open the message. Lily, I'm impressed by your commitment to authenticity. Let's set up a meeting to discuss this further. Your voice is essential in the narrative we're building. A thrill shot through her, but accompanied by an icy grip of anxiety. Was she prepared for this meeting, to articulate her vision clearly in front of an industry titan? She leaned back in her chair, staring at the cursor blinking eagerly on the screen. The path ahead shimmered with promise, yet it remained fraught with uncertainty. Could she maintain control over her narrative while navigating the corporate landscape? The hour that followed disappeared into a haze of preparations. Tiny notes littered her desk, and she worked tirelessly to outline her vision, the core principles that had sparked her journey. She called on the experiences of women who had inspired her, their stories now woven into the fabric of her resolve. In this cocoon of preparation, a profound realization emerged. Transforming her passion into a viable platform required more than just words. It needed strategy, grit, and an unyielding sense of self. Just as she felt the fog of self-doubt begin to clear, her phone buzzed again, this time, an unanticipated video call with her best friend. Hey, I heard about the CEO's response. Are you ready for this? Her friend's words rang with excitement, yet a probing edge lurked beneath them. Lily swallowed hard, suddenly feeling the magnitude of what lay ahead. I don't know. I want to be ready, but what if I falter? Her friend's expression shifted, calming, yet encouraging. You've got this. But if you're struggling, maybe you should outline your core beliefs. Knowing what's non-negotiable will help you stand firm. As the conversation flowed, Lily's heart raced with the thought of facing the unknown, confronting her greatest fears head-on. Would she be the courageous advocate she dreamed to be, or would the fear of failure choke her voice? With her friend's encouragement buoying her spirits, she prepared to face this crucial moment. Everything she had worked toward hinged on what she would decide during that call with the CEO. And as the clock ticked down, two truths lingered on the horizon. Clarity prompted action, but uncertainty always demanded courage. Would she rise to the occasion, embracing her true self, or would the tide of expectation pull her under? The moment of truth loomed just around the corner, poised to reveal whether Lily's personal evolution could withstand the pressures of opportunity. Lily paced her small living room as the allotted time drew closer. Each tick of the clock heightened her anxieties. With every beat of her heart, vivid flashes of the meeting materialized. She could envision herself sitting across from the CEO, his gaze piercing through her resolve, demanding perfection. Would he be impressed, or would her authenticity feel like a burden? She inhaled deeply, steadying her racing thoughts. In moments like these, she often sought refuge in her journal. Flipping through pages filled with her aspirations, she searched for clarity. There, nestled among declarations of self-acceptance, she found a note detailing her reasons for pursuing this path. It highlighted her own experiences with judgment and misunderstanding, a painful yet grounding reminder of why she cared so deeply. "Stick to your truth," she murmured to herself, echoing her earlier mantra. Noticing the time, she grabbed her phone and opened a digital note filled with key points she intended to address. Each bullet point represented another piece of her identity: the inspiring stories of women advocating for body positivity, her frustrations with industry standards, and her unwavering belief in authenticity as a form of empowerment. But the words felt heavy under the weight of the looming confrontation. Would discussing her aspirations with someone so influential lead to misunderstandings or misalignments? The thought ignited a flash of defiance within her. She couldn't let the fear of judgment confine her voice. Every line she penned was a testament to her journey and narrative she would uphold. The CEO needed to understand that authenticity wasn't just vital to her, it represented a movement. Her heart raced once again as the call notification popped up, illuminating her screen with an invitation she couldn't ignore. "Hello, Lily," came the CEO's warm voice, as if welcoming her into an unfamiliar realm. Her stomach dropped, and for a fleeting moment, she hesitated. "Hi, thank you for meeting with me," she managed, the slight tremor in her voice betraying her nerves. They exchanged pleasantries, and then silence stretched between them, heavy with unspoken implications. Lily felt as if she were standing on the edge of an abyss, and she could either leap into unknown freedom or step back into the familiarity of her previous insecurities. "Your email struck a chord with me. Authenticity is rare in our industry. I'd love to hear your thoughts on how we can work together," the CEO prompted. Lily took a steadying breath. The moment of truth enveloped her, demanding she step into the power of her narrative. "I want to change the conversation around body image and health. It's not about fitting into a certain mold, it's about embracing who you truly are," she began, her voice gaining strength. As she spoke, Lily felt the gears of her ambition shift. It was no longer just about her fears, it was about impacting other lives. She recounted how women shared their stories with her, of struggles against the narrow definitions of beauty that the corporate world often perpetuated. Each anecdote was fueled by her passion, interwoven with moments of vulnerability where she failed and learned. "Those experiences are the foundation of what I believe," she asserted, allowing her conviction to anchor her words. The conversation veered into deeper territory, exploring how they could collaborate while ensuring authenticity remained central to every initiative. Yet, a lingering question persistently danced in her mind: was this enough? Moments of doubt pierced through her resolve. Would her intricacies be understood, or would the CEO's intentions shift as corporate wheels turned? Lily noticed a change in the CEO's demeanor, a smile in his voice as he responded. "You are inspiring, and it's vital we move forward together. Your vision aligns with the cultural shifts we aim to promote." Exhaling sharply, relief cascaded over her. She was being heard, yet uncertainty loomed. It was only a beginning, and she was wary of complacency. But in the shadows of her success lay another layer of anxiety. What if they planned to present her work to the world while stripping away the very essence that defined her mission? Somehow, she would need to navigate these complexities without losing herself. As the call concluded and Lily hung up, exhilaration mingled with fear. She had taken a significant step but now faced the daunting reality of translating her ideals into a tangible partnership. With new vigor surging through her veins, she whispered to herself, "This is just the beginning." Yet, as night fell and the questions multiplied, another thought gnawed at her. Was it enough to just protect her own truth, or would she invariably end up fighting a battle against the very entity that had first given her a voice? The next phase of her journey would demand not just courage but clarity of purpose. The stakes had risen, and Lily understood that she had to fortify her strategies and prepare for an impending conflict. Would she maintain her integrity as she stepped deeper into this unfamiliar world, or would it all come crashing down? Lily stood by her window, gazing at the distant city lights cloaked in twilight. The call with the CEO had left her energized, but that initial excitement soon morphed into an unsettling sense of urgency. She felt a shift within herself akin to a tectonic plate giving way, exposing fears and vulnerabilities she lived with but rarely shared. Her thoughts spiraled around a potential path ahead, uncertainty gnawing at her once more. Sinking onto her worn couch, she opened her journal again. But this time, instead of seeking comfort, she sought a strategy, an actionable plan to ensure she wouldn't merely be a mouthpiece for corporate ideals, but an architect of change. What if the ideals she cherished were co-opted, diluted, or worse disregarded entirely? Determination flickered within her as she jotted down points on fresh pages. Establish boundaries, she wrote, tooth gripping the end of her pen. She needed to define her parameters, create a framework that safeguarded her vision against the undefined corporate machinations. Becoming a representative of body positivity didn't mean giving away her narrative, it meant amplifying it. The realization was refreshing, pushing her past the fog of doubt. Next, she focused on her vision for collaboration. Share the spotlight, she sketched, recounting the stories of numerous women she'd spoken with, each one deserving recognition. To bring about genuine change, the conversation couldn't revolve solely around her. It was about collective empowerment. She paused, anxiety creeping in with unsettling whispers about potential rejection. Lily scolded herself, why question her worth when she had already inspired others? The thought pushed her forward, yet a sliver of worry still loomed. Would others recognize the gravity of shared narratives? They were more than isolated incidents, they were testimonials of resilience. With newfound resolve, she began drafting an outline for her next email to the CEO. Clarity would be key. She meticulously outlined her need for alignment on goals, emphasizing that authenticity should never be compromised for marketability. Yet, a part of her questioned if outright confrontation was prudent. Would it jeopardize the potential partnership? Embrace the discomfort, she whispered, a mantra gaining strength. In moments of transition, growth demanded one to navigate unsettling spaces. Each sentence penned surged with empowerment. Night wrapped around her, but the comfort of shadows finally failed to hold her. She flung her laptop open and began researching. She needed to explore parallels between brands known for their authenticity and those that had faltered when carelessly mired in corporate intrigue. The revelations that surfaced fueled her. She would transform her anxieties into knowledge, carving out a pathway to clarity. By the time fatigue began to settle in, a plan was taking shape. She envisioned a framework where transparency reigned, where stories derived from real experiences would unite rather than divide, where her voice, alongside others, would form a powerful chorus that industries could no longer ignore. Yet, she knew the importance of preparation for the inevitable objections that would arise in trying to redefine an entrenched narrative. She felt a newfound spirit as the stars twinkled through the window, challenging her to rise above insecurity and bring forth her value. But amid her growing determination, doubt lurked. Would they truly accept a partnership that centered authenticity, or would the pressure to conform lead them astray? The stakes felt unmistakably high as Lily shut her laptop, heart racing with both excitement and trepidation. She knew the next steps required engagement with others actively in the industry, conversations that might explore potential allies and strategies, those who could strengthen her resolve even more. Yet, as she sprawled out on the couch, fatigue creeping in, another thought struck her like lightning. What if her idealism was not enough? Would she find herself at a crossroads, forced to compromise the very ideals she wished to uphold? Determined not to overlook the clearest paths through uncertainty, she mused, it's time for the next chapter. It was an entryway to collaboration, confrontation, and possibly the conflict that awaited her in the world beyond her room. But with this realization came an unsettling question: would she be willing to face the voices that could just as likely challenge her as support her? The moment of reckoning crept closer. Lily Thompson emerged from her cocoon of self-doubt, transformed by the journey she had undertaken. The call with the CEO had unraveled the tangled threads of her insecurities, replacing them with a thread of resolve woven from her visions and experiences. Today marked a decisive moment in her narrative. She had prepared tirelessly, articulating her vision not merely as a passive participant but as an authoritative advocate for body positivity and authenticity. Clarity surged through her as she sat at the cafe, waiting for the CEO to arrive. Each heartbeat resonated with anticipation, led by the promise of her narrative taking center stage. When the CEO arrived, she approached with palpable poise, her notes shaped meticulously with framework ideas ready to share. "Thank you for this opportunity," Lily began, her voice steady. As they engaged, she articulated her convictions with newfound vigor, presenting her boundary-setting ideas and illustrating how they would enhance their collaborative work. "These stories belong to everyone," she emphasized, determination twinkling in her eyes. In contrast to her previous apprehensions, this time, she felt confident, capable of influencing a broader audience. With every suggestion voiced, she positioned herself not as a solitary voice amid corporate machinations, but rather as an architect of an inclusive community narrative. The conversation unfolded, and the CEO leaned in with a thoughtful expression. "I appreciate your focus on shared experiences and the need for authenticity." "It's indeed essential," they replied, a recognition of Lily's journey knitting them closer. This validation, rather than deflating her, fueled her aspirations, paving the way for a partnership grounded in mutual respect. "Let us create a platform where real stories take precedence," Lily proposed, excitement bubbling beneath her composed exterior. Their dialogue turned productive, ideas flowed as they discussed potential campaigns that lifted authentic narratives while shining the light on societal perceptions of beauty. Each emerging plan echoed with her purpose, ensuring the authenticity would radiate throughout their work together. After pivotal discussions, a simmering sensation of accomplishment flooded through her. She had articulately navigated corporate waters while remaining true to herself, demonstrating profound professional growth. The once timid woman who had battled self-doubt now commanded the meeting with unwavering confidence, sparking a revolution of thought. Later that day, upon returning home, Lily glanced at her notification screen. Messages streamed in from readers captivated by her story. "Thank you for sharing, I finally feel seen." One read, reigniting the fire within her. Each reaction validated the journey she pursued. Her voice resonated and connected, and as the impact became tangible, she reveled in her growth. That evening, she penned her heartfelt reflections on the transformative experience that week, a testament to her evolution from struggle to accomplishment. Her self-acceptance burgeoned, solidifying her belief that vulnerability is not weakness, instead, it is strength. It harnesses narratives that invite others to join and share their paths. By the time she clicked publish, a surge of satisfaction coursed through her veins. This was more than a blog post, it was a celebration of who she had become, an embodiment of resilience steeped in authenticity. Her words became arrows of hope directed toward others, echoing that change begins with one bold voice. With unwavering resolve, she stood firm in her identity as an advocate for body positivity and self-acceptance. She had achieved a position that earned respect, wielding a message that would reach others and inspire them to forge their narratives. The weight of her journey transformed into wings, propelling her forward, an unwavering belief that the world would embrace her authenticity, flaws and all. Stepping back from her laptop, Lily realized that she had not only conquered an internal battleground but also established her voice in the larger conversation around body image. As clarity faded into evening, she stood solid, recognized, and confident, anchored in her purpose as the architect of her own destiny. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, your support matters. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending, we want to hear from you. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to join our community of personal transformation.